Ah! I'm sorry. I shouldn't take out my aggression on you or her. I've just been waiting so long for the Mythic Legion's Necronominous wave, and it's driving me crazy. Everyone has theirs already, except for us. Maybe that's not true, but that's what it feels like. So yeah, I do not yet have the Necronominous figures in my grubby little hands, but what I do have is Marrow. She came out very recently, and it's been a hot minute since we looked at a recent figure on this channel, so I relish the opportunity. I mean, in a way, she's kind of like a Mythic Legion's Necronominous wave. Right? That wave is centered around, like, bone people. This is a bone person. Maybe this is better than a Necronominous wave. We'll just have to see. It's also been a minute since we've looked at a Marvel Legends. So here we are, Marvel Legends X-Men Marrow. Very new release. Very popular, it turns out. I think this sold out. So if you want her, you might have to get her on the secondary market. They might re-release her, but I'm not sure. Very cool artwork on the side. She is part of the Nemesis Build-A-Figure wave. So she comes with some Nemesis parts. It looks like just an arm and a hand. I like the packaging. It's pretty normal for a Marvel Legend. I like the wraparound window. It's just that the orange-yellow color inside really makes her pop. The blues and greens of her costume really make her stand out. But we're not here to just stare at the box. Let's open her up. I'm going to take this opportunity to throw Patrick under the bus and tell you all that this man is physically incapable of pronouncing Marrow's name correctly. He calls her Marrow, and he just cannot help himself. He knows it's pronounced Marrow. Alright, I've been doing this lately. I've been telling you guys what I'm drinking while I review, and today it is just iced coffee in a little cup because I don't want much of it because it's nighttime. Actually, coffee really doesn't do much for me. I just like the taste. I heard that people who have ADHD experience the effects of caffeine differently. Like, coffee doesn't really do anything, so maybe that's the case with me. I don't know if that's accurate or not. So Marrow's ankles are a little gummy. I wouldn't say loose, but they are gummy, and she doesn't really want to stand on her own that well. Her feet are also very small. That's usually the case for female Marvel Legends figures, but it took some doing to get her to stand on her own. She seems fairly stable now. The thing to watch out for with these are QC issues. Hasbro isn't the best about QC issues. If you watched my last video, you'll see that I opened 3 Hasbro figures, Golden Archive D&D figures, and 2 of them had some pretty terrible QC issues, so you really gotta watch out for stuff like that. I can see on Marrow already, she's got some dirt on her leg, she's got a weird pit on her arm, she's got an awkward smudge of paint on her bubular area, and some marbling too. It looks like there's just a crack running down here. These are all very minor, and especially I would say for a figure in this price point, Marvel Legends tend to, and I said tend to, not always, they tend to run cheaper than other figures. But yeah, aside from those minor issues, she seems good, but we haven't looked at articulation yet. There might be an issue there. Once we got a Riri Williams, and her entire leg was fused together. Like, she had the cuts for articulation, but it was just one piece. I don't even know how that happens, which was a bummer because that was actually a really cool figure. As usual, when it comes to X-Men characters, I have some notes on the costume, but I can't deny that the colors work so well for her. Really pretty shades of blue and green, and this gold really makes those colors pop. The gold is a metallic, it's pretty shiny, very detailed in the butt area. Unfortunately, there's some obvious sprue marks on her ankles and the back of her heel, but that is the back of the figure. You shouldn't be seeing that too often, I would imagine. Her bones, I don't know how else to put that, but her bones look really cool. It's mostly the paint that's doing a lot of heavy lifting there. Really awesome paint job. It looks like bone. I mean, the bone sculpt isn't bad at all, but the paint just really signifies what that material is supposed to be. She's got some vertebrae down the back. Those are nicely painted against the green. Clean hair sculpt, really nicely applied face deco. I love her makeup. I love this little squiggle of hair she's got coming off her forehead. Yeah, all in all, despite my initial very minor qualms, this is a very attractive and clean figure. So let's look at articulation and hope all is good on that front as well. Marvel Legends, for that price point, you know, you can't expect magic when it comes to articulation, but they're typically, you know, fairly good, especially the newer ones. And for a long time, the female figures in particular just didn't have a lot of articulation, and they've really remedied that lately. I'm surprised by the amount of articulation that some of these new female figures get. She can look up a fair amount, not much in the way of looking down. A little bit of tilt. Of course, you've got swivel. Her head is on a ball joint, but then it's also got this hinge joint attached to the neck, so we should get some movement there. Okay, there we go. All right, take back everything I just said. Yes, you just got to get that moving, and she has a full range of motion. It was stuck a little bit, and you can see the base paint underneath is blue, I think. It's either blue or green. It's fairly noticeable when you have her head all the way up, but that, to me, is another nitpick. It's not something you're really going to be able to see in any major capacity. Yes, excellent head articulation with that hinge. More figures should do that, though it is a bit of an eyesore when she's got her head lifted. Arms up. Swivel. I like to check all the limbs now. For a while, in the interest of saving time during reviews, I was only moving one arm and one leg at a time, but so many times I would do that and then it would turn out the other arm or leg would have a problem. So we look at all the limbs now, no matter how much time it takes. Bicep swivel, another thing I'm really glad they're adding to female figures. Double elbow, another thing they didn't used to have that they're doing now. Swivel on the wrist, and then that is on a hinge as well. Yeah, she's got some pretty good articulation. I like the sculpting on her arms. They're subtly muscular. Before we move on, I am going to mention, and I mentioned this before, so it shouldn't be surprised if you've watched our channel before. And also, let me preface that I know it's a comic book character, and I know there are certain classical standards that comic book characters still to this day adhere to, but there's no room for her organs in this body. It's very, very slim. And I know that's just the style. That's just the way of things when it comes to comics a lot of the time, but I'd really like to see just a little bit more thickness on these people. Like from this view, I think she looks fine. It's just right here. That's, it's very thin. You don't need that much extra, just a tiny bit to make her more believable. But what do I know? I'm a woman. Her gloves are two parts. You've got the actual hand and then this wrist thingy. So if you don't have the wrist cuff pushed forward all the way, you will be able to see some skin and it looks a little awkward. Very nice. Torso swivel. Hidden very well by this, bone border on her shirt. They look kind of like teeth. I imagine this costume would be very uncomfortable in that manner. Like you go to like bend over and pick something up and these teeth bones just like crunch into your skin right here. That would hurt, I feel like. Maybe she likes it. Leg up, out, pretty good. Her butt gets in the way. That's the price you pay for this fantastic butt. Swivel. Double knee. Once again, very nicely hidden by these bone kneecap protectors. Back and forth on the ankle. And you get a little rock too. Let's check the other leg to make sure everything is up to code. Yep, articulation seems good. Marvel Legends aren't really known for their accessories, but she does come with some. Like many other Marvel Legends, she comes with extra hands and weapons. So you can see she's equipped with holding things hands. Come on, stand up. You did it earlier. Here we go. She also comes with a fist and then a karate chopping hand. Is that what that is? But since she has holding things hands, she needs something to hold, and that's where these come in. These are like bone scimitars, some kind of bone-based weapon. The sculpt on these is fantastic. And not just the sculpt, but again, the paint. It looks like a bone weapon. Like, it looks like, seriously, like if you saw this out in the wild, you might assume it's a little animal bone that something gnawed on to make it vaguely sword-shaped. Yeah, they look awesome. Detail is fantastic. It's got some crags and grooves. Paint only on one side. but I think that's okay, depending on how the bone came to be. If you've got a bleached or a sun-bleached bone, they tend to be fairly uniform in color. So you've just got a little bit of weathering on the fronts of these. Though I do wonder, like, she's pulling these from her own body, right? So there's not much time for them to be bleached. I feel like they should be kind of like wet and pink-ish. Is that gross? I read like a children's horror story once about the daughter of a taxidermist, and like at night all the taxidermied animals came to life and like killed her and like mounted her skeleton, and when like her dad found her skeleton it was still like pink and wet. And I don't know why that was a story for kids, because it traumatized me and I've never forgotten about it. Yeah, but I don't know, if you pull a piece of bone out of someone, it should be not this color, I don't think. It takes some work to get it to this color. That's what I assume anyway. These are nice, they are rubbery, and her fingers are pretty rubbery too, so it's not that difficult to get them into her hands. But yeah, you know, some figures, like the weapons will be pretty brittle feeling, and then the hands are really tough and they're just hard to get in, but these are very easy. Yeah, all in all, she is a pretty cool figure. Cool to look at, fun to play with, lots of nice articulation, cool detail. I do kind of wish she came with a alternate head that had like a yelling face like we got in the package art, just because I really liked that look with her teeth bared. Teeth are a type of bone. So we have some comparisons to make. Here is the Marvel Legends Sentinel, the game version. And we've got Mezco Wolverine. He looks a little bit tall in comparison. Wolverine is supposed to be pretty short, right? But I don't know how tall Marrow is supposed to be, so maybe that's accurate. But also, this is a totally different line, so, you know, doesn't really matter. Mafex Gambit. And, to round it out, a Mythic Legion skeleton. Let's look at them closer together. That skeleton is enormous compared to her, but you know, maybe it's a mutant skeleton, or the skeleton from some guy that was just, you know, real thick and big. Or maybe she's tiny, I don't know. Use your imagination, it's a toy. So yeah, she's a great figure, I really like her. Like I said, last time we checked, she was sold out, so it might be kind of difficult to get her if you missed out on that. But I'd say if you want her and you see her for a reasonable price, then go ahead and get her. Don't give a scalper $100 for her. So that is about it for us today. Hopefully, next review, we will have a Mythic Legion's Necronominus figure to look at. I don't just want the Necronominus figures. I deserve them. I mean, we did pay for them, and it's been it's been quite a while. So as always, likes and subscribes are very much appreciated. Comments are more than welcome, and I will see you guys on the next one when we hopefully have a Necronominus figure to look at.